3 weeks into the new campaign, and some of the fears that Spurs supporters had moving into a new ground are coming to fruition. For the second week running, Spurs have dropped points at the death. But is it all down to Wembley and this suspected curse? In this episode of the Hotspur America podcast, we'll take a look back at the 1-1 draw to Burnley and the individual player performances for Spurs. The transfer window has just a few days remaining in it, and the gang and I will speculate even further if the likes of Barkley, Foyth, Aurier, Diop, or others may be heading our way. All that and more, next.
I can reflect back to being a player with and manager of some of the finest players that have ever been in the game.
Hotspur America. From the United States to N17, this is the original US-based podcast dedicated solely to Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
When you're at a club like Tottenham, they expect you to win all the time. Be the best club in the country as far as I'm concerned.
Coming to you each week during the season.
Spurs in full cry here. Lamella! Oh, what a goal! And Christian Eriksen has scored!
I hate Arsenal. I just hate them.
Oh, what a goal! And Cafu has put Tottenham in front! Kane comes to the Emirates, scores for Spurs.
We're the Yids in America.
Carried away, but Dix is there to tap in!
To dare is to do.
Tottenham Hotspur turning on the style. Glory, glory night at White Hart Lane. The Spurs are still marching on.
This is Hotspur America. Season 4, Episode 5 of the Hotspur America podcast, coming to you after another last-minute, at-the-death loss of points at Wembley. We're going to get very much into that. Sam joining me for the discussion today. Sammy, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm all right. Let's do it!
Let's do it. Timmy also joining us. Timmy, how are you?
I guess I'm not as pumped as Sammy. I'm struggling.
You're struggling.
Well, you're struggling for
results?
non-Spurs related reasons as well as Spurs related reasons. So
Yeah, running on little sleep. Had a 5:30 a.m. casino night. Spent a lot of time in the casino this weekend, but it was good.
my energy is, I want to say fake, but I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for the wonderful people in Houston. I'm doing it for Houston Spurs. I'm trying to stay upbeat with the devastation that they're dealing with, and I think it kind of puts a shitty result in kind of context. This is just sport, and I'm going to try and do my best to be upbeat and give them something to listen to. So that's what I'm doing tonight.
And along those lines, again, we want to dedicate this episode to Houston Spurs and the rest of the gang down in the southeast of Texas, going through a mess right now, to say the least, arguably and quite technically the worst natural disaster in United States history. Kind of what we're hearing. So they've incurred over 2 feet of rain in some areas already, and it's not even halfway done. This is going to go on all week. So for those of you overseas or in other parts of the United States, please keep the folks of Southeast Texas in mind throughout the week. It's absolutely devastating what's going on down there.
Yeah, for some context, I mean, for those that aren't familiar with Houston, I mean, this is one of I think it's the 4th largest city in the U.S. I mean, you're talking about a population that's probably close to 8 million people, and this storm was very, very. This hurricane was, almost 300 miles wide. And it encompassed not just Houston, Corpus Christi, other coastal cities, and it's just the beginning, because I think what's happening here, there's been a little bit of a stall in it. It's supposed to go back out to the Gulf, gain more strength, and come back basically on the path that it began, and they say double the amount of rain. And for some context, even downtown Houston, it's completely flooded. So the outlying areas are horrible. It's unbelievable.
Hey,
Absolutely.
Sammy. No, I had to look up that population because that sounded way too high. Numbers isn't our strong point. I guess 8 million is the new 2.3 million.
No, not for the greater Houston area. It's way more people than that. There's
I'm online right now.
No
I googled
way.
it.
No
Google
way.
it. Google it.
There's two in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I'm not buying that at all. All right.
And now I think I know that when I lived there, it was close to like 7.5 million.
I thought it was at least 4 when I lived there 20 some odd years ago.
No, you're wrong.
Am I really? That wrong?
Yes,
okay.
All right.
Wrong.
Why you got to do that?
I got
Population.
How many legal
Houston.
people are in Houston? I'm just.
Yeah, you're right. 2.303.
Yeah.
It's right.
That's hard to fathom. I think it's got to be more than that. Anyway.
All right. It's
community
a lot.
Anyway, Tottenham Hotspur.
On the Spurs.
Hotspur. And the Community Beer Company, the perfect pub pint to share with your mates, on board with us as always, sponsoring our show. And, we're in a bit of a quandary here, talking about Wembley and is there a curse, is there not a curse? And we, I think to a man, believe that there is not. But our friend Vass brought up something that's really interesting. And Sammy, I'm going to have you comment on this. Having a little bit of a Twitter discussion with him and a couple of other gents, and talking about Wembley and is there a curse, and Vass was like, nope, played like crap today. Dele was on the ball too long, too many touches. Other things that he was complaining about, Trippier being way out of position most of the second half and looking a little gassed, especially when it came right down to it in the concession of the goal. But the discussion came up about Wembley versus White Hart Lane, and we picked the bad season, to go through this transition. And it was something that I had mentioned when Simon and I visited the Spurs guys, is that you have a team that's prime to just reach up and grab this goblet of gold and rainbows up there at the top of the Premier League, and they're not going through one season but 2 seasons of having to integrate into brand new stadiums. And what will that do to this young squad, to the chemistry of this young squad as we move forward?
Well, I'm not a big buyer of it. We've been very unfortunate in our pursuits at Wembley, but what makes Wembley so unplayable? The way that we played and the lack of certain qualities that we had on the pitch today was the reason why we lost. We were unprofessional in managing a 1-0 lead. We didn't take the opportunities that we had. We had more goal-scoring opportunities today than we had at Chelsea, and we didn't take them. Is Wembley the cause of that? No, I just don't believe that at all.
Is it an integration though into that different atmosphere and that different perspective? Not at all.
I don't take away the fact that it's not a football ground, right? And we play on a football ground, so I can buy into that. But and I feel like I've been disagreeing with Vass so much recently, and it's normally not the case because we're very like-minded.
Makes for great social media.
Well, but he made that tweet today, and I couldn't disagree with him more. We've never been this talented as long as I can remember. Even in the 80s, I don't think we were maybe as talented as what we are now in terms of individual players. And we have a leadership that we've never really had before. So between talent and the ability to guide that talent through challenges, I don't think there's ever a good time to leave your ground and go play in a new ground and transition back into that new ground. But this is as good. We're in as good of a position as I think we could possibly want to be to handle that kind of challenge.
I don't think it has anything to do with Wembley. It's just another poor start to the season, or not getting off to a good start that we've seen the last 2 years in a row.
Right.
So look back at 2015 in August. We lose to United at home, and then we draw our next 3 matches against Stoke, Leicester, and Everton. So that's in 2015. Then last year, we draw against Everton, beat Palace, draw against Liverpool. We haven't got off to fast starts in August.
Yep.
And I don't think it's Wembley. I think it's just not starting off hot. And I don't know if that's because we're still freaking out at this point about transfer window. The squad's not set. There's influx. You're not sure if this is going to be your team moving forward. I have no clue what the cause of it is, but I don't think it's Wembley because we've seen it now. This is the 3rd year in a row.
I don't want to use this as a moan, a transfer window moan, but I think it is a fair question to ask. Do you think there are things that we could have done this summer to ease this transition? Here we are, 3rd game of the season, and we have one player in who's a backup center back, maybe play a starting role sometime in the near future, and a 3rd-string goalkeeper. Do you think that with certain additions, meeting some of the inadequacies, the known inadequacies that we had, one results from selling one of our best players? Do you think that there are things that we could have done to maybe protect us from starting so slowly and poorly, and in a tired way? Like, we looked tired today. anyway, I've asked the question. I'd love to get your thoughts.
I mean, from a footballing standpoint, absolutely. You can bring in the players and let them get bedded into the team during preseason, go on the American tour. But I also understand it from the business standpoint, having to try and we're not on the level as some of the other clubs with how much financial power we have right now while building the stadium. So I understand it from both sides, but I mean, the easy answer is yes, you could have brought him in earlier, but it would have been at a higher price.
Well, yeah, it's such a touchy subject too, right? I mean, because obviously it's hindsight being 2020, and you know, do you mess with a squad that did so well last year?
But we did mess with the squad. We ourselves messed with our squad. We sold the best right back in English football for $50 million. You know, so we did some of those things ourselves, and we, like today, it was like, my God, we were so slow. I mean, we were slow. Yeah. We were way too deliberate in terms of our possession on the ball. Like, I'm a big believer that we play at our best when we make one touch and we get rid of it and we move the ball forward. And there were way too many touches, way too many dribbles. And then we had no width, and we had no, you know, we had nothing on the wings to really run at people. And so as a result, you know, a team like Burnley just packs it in the middle, and that's what we were challenged with.
Tim, when you look at, you know, this past week, you know, we had a total eclipse, and now we have this hurricane, you know, natural disasters and I won't say freaks of nature, but natural occurrences happening this week, and we talked about missing White Hart Lane, our true home, and going into a stadium more than twice its size. Do you think that the stadium and looking forward again to having to do this again next year, is that going to be the same song and dance as we think forward from Spurs supporters who are saying, you know, exactly what happened to West Ham is going to happen to us, and it seems like it's coming to fruition a little bit?
No, I mean, just like I said, I don't think it comes down to the stadium, because we did it the last 2 years at White Hart Lane. I don't think it has anything to do with the stadium. It's just I don't know what it is. It's a slow start.
Okay.
It's not down to the stadium. It's down to individual errors on the pitch. That's what it was these last two games, at least. That was the cause of it. 2 individual errors cost us points. And if you're going to challenge for a title, you can't have dropped points because of individual errors like that.
How difficult is it, though, Sam? I mean, when you look at Manchester United and they buy Lukaku, and you could argue and say he's the reason that they've gotten off to the successful start that they've gotten off to, but then you look at Arsenal that go and spend $55 million or whatever it was on Lacazette, you'd expect the same thing. He didn't even make the starting 11
today. They didn't even play him today. I don't know. I mean, look, we've talked about it before. I've been very sort of open about how I felt like that we've kind of mucked about. And I'll give you a great example. This really pissed me off today. Koeman in his press conference openly stated that he thinks Barkley's going to stay now because nobody has made an approach for him. And I think that's, you know, I kind of got comfortable with signing him just because of the multitude of positions that he can conceivably play. But I'll say this. I said it last week, and I believe it again today. Had he started or had he been a substitute today, I'm not sure he would have made a difference. Because the things that we needed, he doesn't really bring. He doesn't turn a game on a dime. He doesn't really run at people. He's not a terribly threatening player. I don't doubt for a second that he's talented. So, I mean, look, we're not going to have the money that the Uniteds have, and I'm not going to speak to. I mean, look, they should be successful. They've got 400 million pounds of players on their roster. I think we've got a very, very talented team that didn't need much, and we.
Hey, let me.
Okay.
Wait. I was going to say, let me touch on that Barkley thing, because I agree with you. I don't think he would have made a difference, and I don't think we needed to bring in anyone to make a difference. I mean, look at the last 2 games. Each game we had 67% possession. We had so many shots on goal. I mean, well, so many shots, not necessarily on target, and that's another issue that we can get into in a little bit. But, I mean, against Chelsea, 18 shots. Against Burnley, 28 shots. 14 corners against Chelsea. 10 corners against Burnley.
Yeah, 24 corners without a goal. At least there was one that was.
Where's Peter Crouch when you need him?
Today.
But I mean, the point we're making is we've been the dominant team in these games, and it's at the end of the game, individual errors cost us the points. So regardless of whether Barkley would have started or not, or if we could have brought in someone to make a difference, I don't think we needed that player to come in to